Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from this month's sponsor, Ethico.
In the delicate arena of compliance, every conversation matters. Traditional methods can leave callers feeling unheard, but Ethico changes the game. Our empathetic interview technique reshapes compliance calls into powerful, compassionate interactions, ensuring no crucial detail is missed. It's about creating a conversation that matters, that resonates, that makes a difference. Be the change in your compliance approach. See the transformation for yourself at ethico.com/CPN. Book a demo, try our free ROI calculator, and explore the white paper by Tom Fox, The ROI of Compliance.
The Daily Compliance News for May 23, 2024, the end of Car Wash Edition. We begin with that story from the Financial Times. Who has a corrupt Supreme Court other than the United States? Well, it turns out Brazil does, as they have now thrown out the last big conviction of the Lava Jato Operation Car Wash convictions, throwing out the conviction of Jose de Cruz because it wasn't timely brought. Well, guess what? He never raised that before. Wonder what that could be. Sam Alito, take heart. Next up from the Wall Street Journal, Richard Vandeford reporting that although the SEC has made it easier for investors to bring issues to corporations through shareholder initiatives, now corporations such as Exxon are actually suing shareholders for doing so. The SEC is the gatekeeper on what companies must include in their proxy statements, and said they had companies had to allow resolutions that have broad social impact. And the Exxon, of course, being Exxon, not standing for this, said that it would sue shareholders who did so, and have now brought suit against 2. Next up from the BBC, Ukraine, having battled endemic corruption since the first days of its fight for independence, has had some success. And a corruption organization, Transparency International, says Ukraine ranks at its highest for anti-corruption, ranking 104th out of 80 countries in the most recent Corruption Perceptions Index. So big jump for Ukraine to get out of the anti-corruption, or get out of the corruption business. Of course, when the money goes in for the rebuilds, we'll have to see how that holds up. And our final story comes to us from Reuters, which reports that the SEC has urged lawmakers not to adopt a bill that aims to create a new legal framework for digital currencies, saying it would undermine existing legal precedents. You know, it seems to me this is what Congress does and what Congress is supposed to do, and Congress doesn't answer to the SEC. The SEC answers to Congress. If Congress wants to change the rules, I think Congress is free to do that. For the SEC to come out against this legislation at this early point, before anything has come out of the Senate for us to look at, or of course anything formal has come out of the House, seems to me to be sort of bass-ackwards. And I'm sure it would be extremely well received by the Republican-led House of Representatives. As I mentioned at the start of this podcast, this month's sponsor for the entire Compliance Podcast Network is Ethico. Have you ever wondered how to show the ROI of your compliance program? Have you struggled with the budgeting process, getting the funds you want for your compliance program? Well, I've partnered with Ethico to put together a white paper on the ROI of compliance, which shows you not only how to demonstrate ROI, but also how to speak finance when you're sitting across from the CFO with your budget proposals. Check out the website and get the white paper. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.